In 1981, Nintendo released one of their first ever games, Donkey Kong. It soon became a massive hit and made the game's characters some of the most well-known in gaming. It revolved around Mario, or Jumpman, to rescue his girlfriend Pauline from a massive ape, Donkey Kong, in a construction site. Following a success, 1982 saw Donkey Kong Jr., an interesting sequel to the first game. Here the roles were reversed. Jumpman, now renamed to Mario, was the game's antagonist, with DK's son, Donkey Kong Jr., being the protagonist. Here he must save Donkey Kong from being trapped in a cage from the hands of Mario. After this, Mario made some appearances on Nintendo's first console, the Game & Watch. In the game's Mario's Cement Factory, Mario switches jobs from a carpenter to a cement worker. I don't know why they chose the most boring jobs in the world, but they did. Anyway, in this game, you must empty cement from hoppers in the cement trucks below. That same year, Nintendo released... Wait, you can't be serious. Okay, well, forget what I said earlier about Mario's jobs being boring, because they released Mario's Bombs Away. So in this game, Mario's in the military and delivers bombs. So anyway, the point I'm trying to get across is that Mario was becoming Nintendo's mascot quickly, and made an appearance in a good chunk of their early games. He moved to the Donkey Kong series, and was replaced by Stanley Bugman in Donkey Kong 3, although Mario did make later appearances in a couple of DK Game & Watch games as well, like Donkey Kong Circus 1984, where Mario, well, runs a circus. As you can see, Nintendo kind of just threw Mario in any game that they had, like being referees in their sports games, so Mario never really had a defined character or occupation. It wasn't until his first big solo game, Mario Bros. In 1983, that Mario became the same Mario that we know as him today. This game gave him the role as a plumber, a brother named Luigi, and actually had enemies that were somehow related to Koopas. This arcade game, just like Donkey Kong, was a big hit, and Nintendo knew that Mario needed more solo games. In 1985, they released Wrecking Crew, where Mario is like a construction worker. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's pretty obvious they're just kind of picking names out of a hat for each game. Just pick one already. Okay, let's see what Nintendo gave us. Okay, so we have Race Car Driver. That's stupid. Olympic Athlete. It's so boring. Spaceman? Oh, it's so stupid. Oh, plumber. Heck, later on he become a doctor, Olympic athlete, and even run his own amusement park. This guy's wasting time in his hands. Anyway, around this time, Nintendo was releasing their first home console, the Famicom, to the US under the name of the Nintendo Entertainment System. Shigeru Miyamoto, Mario's creator, was given the task of making a successful launch title to attract gamers, since around this time the gaming industry was a burning building. So he chose to make a side-scrolling platformer starring a fat Italian plumber who saves a princess from a fire-breathing Artilian ox thing. And hold up, out of all the jobs that Mario has had, they chose plumbing to be his canonical occupation. I think Mr. Miyamoto may have had one too many glasses of eggnog, if you know what I mean. Yeah, this all sounds like the stupidest thing ever. But little did he and everyone else know that this would become one of the most famous games of all time. Hello everyone, I'm Bucktooth, and for my first ever gaming review, I thought it'd be only fitting to play one of the greats, Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels, are basically the same game. We'll get to that later. I'm also going to point out that some of the footage I'll be using is from the Super Mario All-Stars version, since that's when I play on the channel, as well as the fact that I don't feel like spending a whole ton of money on an original NES game. So I'll have to set up with the Switch port for our footage as well. Anyway, I feel like Super Mario Bros. Doesn't require instruction. If you play games, you've heard of it. If you don't play games, you still heard of it. It's literally saved the entire gaming industry because Atari had to go ahead and make some high-quality games. I feel like I covered a lot of the background around this, so let's move on. Super Mario Bros. Was released for Nintendo Entertainment System on September 13th, 1985 in Japan, and a month later in America. As I said, the main character is obviously Mario, but Luigi makes a return as player 2 as well. I feel kinda dumb explaining how a Mario game works, but I guess I'll do it for the two of you who don't know. Anyway, this game is as simple as platforming gets, although it's nowhere near the easiest. This might be surprising for some of you, but this game is actually hard. Before I get into that, I'll explain how the game works. Mario and Luigi, two plumbers from Brooklyn, somehow get sucked into a warp pipe and end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. King Koopa, or Bowser, turned all the kingdom's civilians, or Toads, into blocks and kidnapped Princess Toadstool, the only one able to undo the Koopa's dark magic. And you probably think to yourself, who the heck is Princess Toadstool? Well, that was actually Peach's American name for 10 years. She was always Peach in Japan, but they felt that Toadstool made more sense internationally. Around the time that Super Mario 64 was released, however, the translators were all like, us, throw it. Her name's Peach. And I chose one name. Personally, I like Peach more, but Toadstool makes more sense. Anyway, before I talk about the enemies, there's something that I need to talk about, the game's manual. On page 2, it gives a questionable quote. Mario, the hero of the story, maybe, hears about the Mushroom People's plight and sets out on a quest to free the Mushroom Princess from the evil Koopa and restore the fallen kingdom of the Mushroom People. Did you catch that? Mario, the hero of the story, maybe. Mario's the hero, right? This one line can change the entire Mario lore as we know it. The OG instruction manual is actually really cool, and you can read it online for free. Actually, I would surprisingly say that this game probably has the most clear lore out of any Mario game. It actually explains why my Bowser kidnaps Peach, kinda, and why her safety is necessary for the entire kingdom's survival. But back to the whole hero maybe thing. I don't know what to think, because it clearly says many times that Bowser and the Koopas are evil. So you're saving Toadstool. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that Nintendo ever referred to that line again, so it could either be just a joke or evidence that Nintendo may have had some other plans for everyone's favorite plumber. I doubt it, but it's still kind of fun to make theories. Going back to the idea that Bowser turned Toads into bricks, that means that Mario probably killed at least 100 of them on his journey.
What have I done?
Maybe he's kind of like an anti-hero where he saved the day while murdering everyone that they could be saved for. But anyway, I guess it's time to talk more about the game itself before we actually find out that Mario's a murderer. Throughout his journey to save Peach, Toadstool, Mario searches every castle looking for her. Apparently the Toads didn't give a map, because in theory, he never even needed to play through worlds 1 through 7, since the castles were empty. After you defeat Bowser, a Toad will say, "Thank you, Luigi, but a prince is in the castle!" It's probably one of the most recognizable and hated lines in gaming history. But, after you defeat the real Bowser, you'll find Princess Toadstool who will thank you. And that's it. It's kinda enigmatic, but what do you expect? This game basically is how Nintendo learned how popular their own console was. They pushed it to the limits, and it was a masterpiece. This game consists of 8 worlds with 4 levels inside of it. That's 32 levels, which is pretty good for a game back then. There are also several themes for the levels. The classic mushroom background, caves, castle, underwater. But I guess you can count the plain sky, black sky, and sunny versions of those themes as well, if you're feeling generous. Actually, the 5 main themes have their own way of doing things. The classic background is your standard level, sky consists of platforming over a bottomless pit, caves have unique enemies and occasionally warp zones, castle levels are filled with lava, puzzles, and mazes, and even a boss fight, and finally, underwater levels are completely different from every other theme, because you have to swim. Most people completely despise these levels, but I actually kinda like them. Don't get me wrong, those blooper can be really annoying, but I think that I'm better at these than I am the other ones. You can also find hidden bonus rooms that will reward you with many coins. Another nice thing that you can do is if you die in the main level before a world, if you are far enough in, you'll get yourself a little checkpoint to save you some time. I will mention that you were timed in these levels, but as long as you don't wait around, you'll be fine. This game, like many of the others at the time, does keep track of your points, but no one really cares about that. It's actually a 2-player game, but don't get too excited. Basically, player 1, or Mario, will play this game as normal, but once he dies, it switches over to player 2, Luigi, and vice versa. I personally would barely count this as a multiplayer, and would recommend just passing the color around, because player 2 will have to wait forever to play if Mario's really good, and if Roy's really bad, it'll just be chaotic and sad. Even though I don't like it, it was really the best thing to do with their limitations, so I won't take any points off for it. Although some people don't find the game to be that hard, my one is fairly difficult. The game only starts you off with 3 lives, and if you lose them, it's back to the beginning. Well, as long as you don't hold A and press start on a title screen and get sent back to the world you died on, but shh. Unless you could just use the infinite one-up trick. Speaking of cheats, this game's incredible level of difficulty may make you go bonkers, but don't worry, because this game knows this. In Road 1-2, right before you leave the cave by going into the pipe, jump on the platform and onto the ceiling. It's not that hard, and you can even run up there earlier in the level. Now I'll run past the pipe, and you will find a bonus room containing world pipes which will take you to either World 2, 3, or 4. You choose. Then, on World 4-2, around here you'll find these blocks. Keep jumping and you'll find an invisible staircase. Then climb the vine and you'll take you to either World 6, 7, or 8. Thanks to this, if you're a monster of the game, you can beat it in around 6 minutes. This is the reason why speedruns are so plentiful in this game, because there's so many ways to work around the difficulty. Even though this game is very hard and annoying, I do like how Nintendo took this into consideration and graced with these gifts. You can either play the game normally, tear all your hair out, and feel extremely satisfied winning, or use a continue cheat in warp zones, be met with a semi-challenge, and still feel fairly satisfied after winning. Plus, after you beat the game, it restarts, but locked in hard mode. The air Goombas are switched with fuzzy beetles, and enemies move faster. I never tried it out myself, for, well, reasons, but I'm sure that since the game isn't too easy to begin with, this makes it a greater challenge. It has a nice progressive sense of difficulty, starting out with easy, and then by the end, World 8 is unbearable. The gameplay is so simple: run, jump, and need to touch a platform, but it's so entertaining and iconic. I feel that most people can agree that the controls are great in this game. Although to be fair, there are only 3 buttons on a controller, so they have to do a terrible job to screw it up. The D-pad is how Mario moves, and pressing down will allow Mario to go through pipes and crouch, a very helpful move. It allows you to duck under any bullets or fire that might touch you because of your larger hitbox. The A button is how you jump, and pressing constantly enables you to swim, and the B button allows you to shoot fireballs if you have a fire flower, or run if you hold it while walking. The controls are so simple, but they're almost perfect. My only complaint is that I sometimes feel like I lose control of Mario, and then I kinda have to keep on jumping to be able to steer right and back to right direction. And sometimes I feel like that he'll continue to move for a second after I stop holding the button, which in a bad situation can really screw you over.
I mentioned that Nintendo won't let you get off easy though, because they're gonna have a ton of enemies that'll get in your way.
Goombas, or little Goombas as the instruction manual calls them, move the side to side, and are once taken out by jumping on them. These guys are the most simple enemy in the game, and are kinda just there to show players the whole jumping thing. So you'd be pretty bad to die to these guys. Actually, the game's booklet says that he's once traders to the Mushroom Kingdom, meaning that at one point they lived alongside the Toads. This doesn't matter to the game, although there's so much lore revealed here that it never talked about since. Next we have the Koopa Troopas. They're Bowser's main soldiers, which means that they aren't too bright. These guys come in 2 types, green and red shelled. The green guys see a cliff and are like, yes! And then they jump off. Just as I said, not that smart. The red ones though, oh boy, these guys are tough. They don't jump off cliffs. Yeah, these guys aren't too interesting, but you'll probably get messed up by these numerous times. But that's not all, because there's another kind of Koopa, the Koopa Paratroopa. These guys are basically just Koopas with wings, but can actually lead to level mechanics. The green guys fly around aimlessly, and the red guys fly up and down, essentially making a one-time use platform to jump off of. Oh, and one more thing to mention. Unlike the Goombas, one simple stop on the head won't be enough to take out these guys. After a hit, they'll hide in their shells, making for weapons for them and yourself. If you kick it, it'll head in a direction and take out any enemy you're blocking its path. Just make sure it doesn't bounce off a wall and kill you, too. Then there are Buzzy Beetles, which are basically just Koopa Troopas, but they don't react to fireballs, besides that they are the same properties. Piranha plants hide in warp pipes and will chomp at you if you touch them. They'll mess you up easily if you aren't careful, so be sure to time the pattern. Next we have one of the most, if not the hardest enemy, the Hammer Bros. They show up numerous times, so be prepared. They'll constantly throw hammers at you, sometimes being extremely difficult to dodge. Although they can sometimes be alone, they'll mostly be found with another one, on 2 strips of blocks, being their battlefield. If you time it perfectly, you can jump on top of them, unharmed. But spoiler alert, that probably won't happen. Also watch out, because if you don't kill them after a little while, they'll chase you, instead of just moving to the left to right in the case of jumping. Speaking of hard and annoying enemies, this is Bucktooth. A Koopa? I'm not exactly sure what he is, but he's close to one. This guy flies around in his cloud and will throw spines at you, but more on them later. As long as you can run past them fast enough, they shouldn't be that hard to deal with. But if you're trying to platform or do something else, they can get you off guard. Also, just out of curiosity, where are his spines coming from? He kind of throws them out of his cloud like it's something. Is this cloud magic or something? I guess it is, since he also fly around with it. On the same subject, the Hammer Bros suffer the same problem. They can throw like 300 hammers in a minute, yet they don't even have pockets. Anyway, spines are the creatures that Bucktooth throws, and they, like almost every other enemy in the game, can kill you easily if you aren't careful. Spinies are, well, spiny. They have spines on their backs, meaning you can't jump on top of them. Although they don't sound too hard, if you're on a staircase platform, they'll be a nightmare to dodge. If you wait around too long, a platform you need to jump on might be entirely covered by them, making it almost entirely impossible. Next, we have the underwater enemies. Bloopers are squids that will chase you around in an almost unpredictable way. They don't move around normally, they just kind of shoot themselves in a random direction. These guys can be very annoying, and if you aren't careful, you can get trapped by multiple ones and die. And then there are the cheeps, fish that are not only found underwater, but they also sprout wings and fly on land. Get it? Flying fish? Anyone? Okay. Like Koopas, these guys come in 2 colors, red and gray, or green in re-releases. The red ones are fast, and the green/gray ones are slower, and that's really the only difference. Honestly, although I figured that there was one, I had absolutely no idea that he was a distance between the two, since this is not noticeable. Unlike almost every other enemy in the game, bloopers and cheap tubes can't be jumped on underwater, but you can on land. I'm not sure why, but you can. Bills are, well, bolts that are fired out of a cannon. They have eyes and arms, so I'm not sure if they're alive or not. I guess they are? It's kinda creepy since they sacrifice themselves to crash into you, but I probably shouldn't think about it too hard. You'll frequently find them in patterns like this, making them difficult to dodge. Actually, if you're small, you really don't need to worry about them that much. But if you're large, they become a really big hazard. Many times you'll be chased by these fellows, and as long as there's nothing in the way, you should be able to easily jump over them. Also, one last thing. If you stand on the cannons and warp pipes too, the bulbils and piranha plants won't come out of them, giving you a safe spot. In Nick Castle levels, you'll find Potoboo, a lava bubble that jumps up and down. You'll mainly see them between platforms, making it hard for you to platform. If you time it right, however, they shouldn't be that hard. Speaking of lava, fire bars are another threat in the castle levels. Their size varies, and some can be huge. They move in a 360-degree angle, just like Potoboo, so you have to time them perfectly to survive. Most of the time, as long as you're patient, which I'm not, you'll be able to move past them easily. I spent a while talking about the enemies and hazards in the game, but I never really said much about who they're working for. Meet Bowser, the King of the Koopas. He can be found in every castle level, and once you figure out the trick to him, he's not that hard. Now, I'll warn you guys that this is probably one of the most hardest boss fights I've ever played through, because this guy is really smart. He shoots fire out of his mouth, don't question it, and will even throw hammers later on in the game. Anyway, he thought that it would be a great idea to have an axe that once touched will destroy the bridge, right behind him. This guy's an idiot. What purpose does it serve? Is he just feeling suicidal or something? You know, if he was smart, when Mario steps on the bridge and fight him, he'd just back away and destroy the bridge on Mario instead of himself. Anyway, all I really need to do is just dodge his fire and hammers, jump over him, and touch the axe. Actually, later in the game, I find it easier just to wait for him to jump and then run under him. You're probably wondering how you can actually fight and kill Bowser 8 times, and the game actually answers this. If you manage to kill every Bowser besides the final one with fireballs, then we'll reveal that it was actually just a regular enemy transformed in him. Even though there are too many enemies in the game, as well as some being extremely hard to avoid, they're all very unique and have entire levels work around their gimmick. And if you don't want to have to deal with them, there's a good chance that the game will just forget that they were supposed to be there. Yet there are numerous occasions where you'll just sometimes encounter 3 of an enemy, then after you'll only find 2. Sometimes all the fire bars just won't show up, making some levels pretty easy. It's kind of funny and convenient on your part. Although I'm not sure if you can consider them collectibles, this game does have items and things to gather. Coins can be found all over the place, on land, in blocks, even in the sky. If you get 100 of these bad boys, you get yourself an extra life. Funny enough, it took me around 5 years of being a Mario fan to realize this. I thought they were for points. Speaking of extra lives, One Up Mushroom does just that. Although they aren't too common, you'll want to take note of where everyone is, because you need them. Next we have the power-ups, one of the Mario series' most recognizable features. They can be found inside of the question mark blocks, which we hold all sorts of goodies inside. The mushroom, or magic mushroom as called in the manual, makes Mario twice as big while also allowing him to have an extra hit. So if an enemy touches you, you'll survive. The fire flower allows you to create and shoot fireballs from your bare hands, as well as giving you a hot new outfit. Fireballs can be used to take out almost any enemy in the game, even Bowser. Finally, the Starman makes Mario temporarily invincible, while a sweet song plays in his background. Powers bring a lot to the game, while also being almost necessary for making any form of progress in the game, because, believe me,
It's not easy.
this is something that's kinda hard to judge. It's not like modern day, where everyone knows what's high quality and not. This game released around 35 years ago, so obviously the standards have changed drastically since then. The graphics aren't that bad, and the developers worked really hard to make the game as polished as possible. Similar to the launch title, however, Nintendo was still learning how powerful the machine was. They worked it to the max graphically, but later on they would find new ways to make it look even better on the same console. So I can't blame the developers for it, because they did as much as they could. Although I will say that sometimes it just looks plain ugly, so some colors are just not working well with your eyes. It is problem with some NES games, but others I don't have a problem with, like some of the later ones. This game created some of the most recognizable tracks in gaming history. Basically every song, besides the Castle theme, has been reused and remixed on numerous occasions throughout Nintendo's games. Whenever you start to run out of time, a sped up version of whatever song in the background will play. The main, Underground, and Starman theme have been in nearly every single Mario game to date, even if it's just an Easter egg. The Underwater theme was even used as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels 2 and Remake of 3's title theme. I guess Koji Kondo had a favorite song. Heck, even the game's sound effects have become well known, like the jump, one-up, and coin ones. This is really the first game that I can think of that had a full soundtrack, and not just 2 song stops that would just loop every couple seconds.
For the most part, I've been praising this game on how good of a masterpiece it is. Let's see how it holds up today. Okay, gonna come out and say it. This game didn't age well.
Don't get me wrong, you can still play it and enjoy yourself, but I just don't think it holds up as nearly as well as other retro games. As I said, even though the game has very colorful graphics, it can really hurt my eyes. Also, although I said that the music was great, that doesn't mean it has portrayed that great. It sometimes sounds like the tracks are being crushed up, which feels like your ears are bleeding. Some notes just don't sound right whenever you kill an enemy or jump, although this seems to be the case with other games too. Another thing that's annoying is that the Wall of Doom. Basically, there's a wall to the far left, meaning that there are coins there, but you step a little too far to the right, they're gone. The enemies can still attack you from there, because that's fair. Although it's fairly frustrating, after a little while you get used to it, plus it makes Super Mario Bros. 2 and 3 much more enjoyable. Yeah, obviously this was a hardware limitation, but they eventually worked a way around it, because the games I just mentioned don't have it. I'm being kind of unfair since it was a launch title, but I feel like it's still worth mentioning. I know I mentioned this game being hard, and although it's fairly easy starting off, later on it's unbearable. It almost feels like an arcade game, which it is, but you get what I mean. In those games, they're purposely made as hard as they can, so the machines can gobble away them sweet, sweet quarters. If you die 3 times, as long as you don't have any extra lives, it's back to the beginning for you. And I know that I'm praising it for having the cheats, but obviously, the game doesn't matter, I'll never tell you that. It does reward you for exploration, but some people went 30 years without even knowing this stuff, making you spend hours upon hours upon hours playing the same levels over and over again. Heck, it was so annoying that I gave Sega the idea for Sonic the Hedgehog, with his goal of being to complete levels as fast as possible. I'm probably saying that Nintendo couldn't help this, not another limitation, but it could give you a secret cheat, which allowed saving after every world. I'm asking for a checkpoint after every level. Oh no. An optional save after every castle would be nice. Kind of like a world continue option, like other games did. Super Mario Bros. 3 let you do it, so the console was capable of doing it. I'm sick of having to prove to the game that I can beat World Dash 1. I can beat it without being hurt, what more do you ask? I will say that the game is much more playable with a continue cheat, but that's it. Continue cheat. I feel wrong not beating the game fair and square, but at the same time, it took me like 12 hours to beat World 8 alone on the All-Stars version, which say after every world, so I guess I don't care that much. I just wish that there's a legitimate way to save, that's all. Speaking of missions save, let me tell you, World 8 is a nightmare. The first level isn't that hard, believe me, it's getting way worse from there. You get chased by Bucktooth, dodge bolts and hammers, and it all comes down to the final level. This castle, like many others, is kinda a maze, I guess. You have to outrun Cheeps, hammers, and even more hammers from Bowser. As I said, my playthrough of this game took a long time. But while I was getting footage on the NES version, I beat the first 4 worlds in about 20 minutes. And although I used the continue cheat, I'm questioning that maybe I was just terrible at the game before. Either way, World 8 is extremely hard, and even with cheating, it'll take you a while. Here's my reaction beating it. I won! Yes! 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 Let's go! Yes! Yes! Oh, wait, I'm recording. Yeah. Yes! Yes! I will say, however, once, or if you beat Bowser, you just earn yourself a guaranteed 24 hours of solid joy and satisfaction. I've been running on for a while now, so to recap, if you play for real, you have to play the same levels over and over again. You're most likely to go crazy if you aren't that great at it. The graphics, although colorful, are kinda ugly. The audio will sometimes do weird stuff. Mario will sometimes control a little weird. And there are actually a lot of glitches and bugs in the game. I'm not gonna go over all of them, but most of this will help speedrunners, while another one creates the Monus World, a set of crazy and random levels. We're almost done here, so all in all, this game is still playable and fun, but it doesn't hold as well as the other NES games.
Finally, we'll take a look and see how great of an impact this game had. A big fat one.
Yeah, it's no secret that this game heavily changed video games, and basically inside the entire industry in America. Things have changed, but without this game there might not be no Kirby, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Metroid, Animal Crossing, Pikmin, Star Fox, heck, maybe not even Zelda. Not to mention, Mario has been like going over 200 games. So yeah, Nintendo would have either went out of business for on the spot for not having a leading launch title, or faded away over time for not having a fun series that can appeal to everyone. Side scrolls were a new thing back then, so its game blew everyone's minds. This game created a major chunk of the main characters in the series and mechanics that like power-ups and level themes. It was so good they even got 2 sequels. So yeah, this probably had one of the biggest impacts of any game.
And now, my friends, is Super Mario Bros. Even though I personally thought it was pretty hard looking back on it, I had a really fun time with it, and I'd highly recommend you give it a try. Although, unless you're a huge fan, I wouldn't buy it on. I would just buy it on eShop or something, since the original copy could be fairly expensive in new condition. But anyway, it's on time to give it the final score. Story, 5 out of 5. Gameplay, 5 out of 5. Controls, 4 out of 5. Hazards, 5 out of 5. Graphics, 3 out of 5. Music, 5 out of 5. Aging, 2 out of 5. And impact, 5 out of 5. So my final rating for Super Mario Bros. Is a 34 out of 40, 85%, 8.5 stars, or simply a B. So anyway, it's a great game. Now I probably wonder what Nintendo would do with the series after creating a masterpiece. Well, it made a sequel, of course. Super Mario Bros. 2 released in Japan on June 3rd, 1986, just 9 months after the original. I'm sure you're all very impressed by this and want to see all the new features that this game has to offer. Well, this will be easy. Yeah, there's a reason why I'm making one big review for these two. Literally the same. Well, to be fair, the siege is the same with every game, so... Literally the same. Just kidding. Ish. Not really, though.
The game isn't multiplayer anymore, but that doesn't affect anything. You can also change play as either Mario or Luigi, but which is really the only new cool thing this game has. Mario's the same as before, but Luigi can jump higher, but has less traction to balance things out. Since Nintendo loves us, they decided to implement a new feature: Wind!
Wind sucks.
This is the worst new thing added to this game by far, and some levels will feel nearly impossible. Wind is most commonly found in platforming levels, which are already hard by themselves, so Woo makes them brutal. Then they'll combine that with the new green super springs, which will shoot you about 10 miles into the air. You get shot up so high that you can't even see where you are, so you have to hope they just happen to land on something. I spent a half hour on one of these alone, and not counting any other level. If you can't tell already, this game is trying to be as hard as it can. Later in the game, I feel like that the developers are just like,
oh no, this game's released tomorrow, and I've been too busy playing on my M&M slot machine to develop anything for it. Okay. I come down to me. I have an idea. We can save this game, okay? All we have to do is just put every enemy and game mechanic that we've been developing over the past year, and just put it in all the levels, and see what happens. The players will never see it coming.
To the point where it's completely crazy and chaotic. This is considered the hardest Mario game, and that's probably right. I enjoyed most of my playthrough with it, but that was on the All-Stars version, which feels so bad for you that it let you save it after every level. One of the only compliments I can come up with is that the game saves after every world. Unlike the first one, which never saved at all. Heck, remember Warp Zones? Even those now suck. They only let you go to one specific world, and sometimes they'll take you back. 1 in 3-1 takes you back to the beginning, and the other one in 8-1 takes you to World 5-1. Luckily, this never happened to me, but can we get a moment of silence for those poor gamers who wasted hours of their life doing this? Even though the game gets really hard, they do reward you for beating 100%. If you beat Worlds 1 through 8 without using any warp zones, you unlock World 9, which is an interesting world. It's really weird, and unlike everything else, pretty easy. The game actually only gives you 1 life to complete it, so rest in peace anyone who failed. Here you find normal enemies underwater, Bowser in level 3 instead of 4, and the final level has Japanese text, which thanks to player for playing.
Hey, it's me, your good pal Nintendo. Do you value your life? Do you enjoy every moment of it and look forward to each new day? Well, us here at Nintendo heard your complaints, and we have the cure for you. We're proud to present depression. In a can. Ow, it's actually pretty hot. All you have to do is press this button right here. Beat our incredibly satanic game without warping 8 times, and then the magic happens. You've just knocked yourself an additional 4 worlds to suffer through, A through D, because we here at Nintendo don't want to ever see a smile on your face. But first, that'll be $60.
These will be some of the toughest challenges you ever faced in your life, no joke. I don't know why you ever want to play them, but luckily the All-Stars version lets you play them after beating the game once. How nice of them! My biggest problem is that the game isn't hard to be a fun challenge for players. It's hard just to be hard.
Nothing changed.
Luigi's controls worse than Mario, but that's just a balancing feature.
Nothing changed. Again!
Well, actually, Blueberries can now fly on land, and red piranha plants are faster, and he added the new kind of mushroom. Normally I put it on collectibles, but it's more fitting here because of the poison mushroom. If it touches you, it hurts you, and they can be found hidden in blocks all over the place, so be careful. Also, remember how Hammer Bros would ambush you if you don't play them after a little while? Well, starting from World 7, they go after you no matter what, so try to run past them as fast as you can. Finally, a bluish Bowser, referred to Bowser's brother, can be found in World 8-4 and V4's Final Castle. They aren't by the real one's bridge, so they kind of just stand on the platform to get into the level.
I guess their purpose is to make the level harder, but you don't need to fight them, so yeah. Nothing new. Oh my gosh, they actually changed the graphics!
Oh jeez! What the heck is this? I appreciate them changing them, but they're even more ugly. Here are the differences. I will say this is really the first game to put creepy eyes and everything, like clouds and bushes. The super and one-up mushrooms are now living beings. Great!
Now I want to eat them even more. I should probably cut that part out.
Also, the game Princess Toadstool and new spray for some reason. I don't know why I decided to do all these things, but they did them. They gave the new cutscene from Mario, the princess and the toads descending into the heavens.
Why is this game so weird? Come on, what do you expect?
Although they did add a new sound effect from Mario and Luigi's slide. Yay! I guess also made the ending even better, which is cool.
This aged worse than the first game.
I feel like I must have explained it before, but Nintendo was basically just trying to make the hardest game they could poop out. Wind, impossible jumps, springs of doom, poison mushrooms, harder enemies, backwards warp zones, and even tricking the player. They're purposely place invisible blocks in areas that you'll need to jump, so they can kill you. Over here, they tried to allow Hammer Bros to kill you by having blocks there. This entire game feels like some Trolls Mario Maker levels. You know, the ones that don't want you to succeed. I can expect this from a newer game company, but Nintendo, the same Nintendo that made the first game in Legend of Zelda, they can do better than this. I'm disappointed in you.
Oh, that's funny.
This game probably had the smallest impacts out of any Mario game. No one really remembers it, and if they do, it's probably not for a good way. People really only know it as that Mario game. If you beat it, you only beat it for bragging rights, not for entertainment. They've hardly introduced any new features, and the ones that are here are not even good, and serve the one purpose of getting you killed. It should really be called Super Mario Bros. 1.5. It established some new things, like Luigi's special ability and the fact that everything has eyes for some reason, but nothing really else. It doesn't even bother to fix the first game's problems, like the Wall of Doom. I wish Nintendo tried to make something new and unique, like they did with every other game that they made. Instead they gave us Purgatory. The first game was a massive hit. Did they even use any of the money for this game? I really wanted to like this game, and it's still classic Super Mario Bros. We know to come in love, but it's hard to expect to enjoy something that doesn't want you to win.
So, now that's over with. Was Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Souls a good sequel? You're joking, right? All jokes aside, however, I don't know. It didn't build upon the first game at all, and it focused on being unbearably hard and trying new things. It's still playable and you have a good time with it, but it's like something I'm calling it a terrible game. I would play it just so you could understand why it's so hard, but I would buy it cheap, like in the Switch's online service in Super Mario All-Stars. But now it's time for my final grading. So, story, 5 out of 5. Gameplay, 3 out of 5. Controls, 4 out of 5. Hazards, 5 out of 5. Graphics, 3 out of 5. Music, 5 out of 5. Aging, 2 out of 5. And impact, 1 out of 5. So my final rating is a 28 out of 40, or 70%, 7 stars, or simply a C-. It could be much better, and it could be worse. But anyway, that about wraps up my first ever gaming review, or in this case, level review. Thank you all so much for watching. It's been a while working on this one. They're really fun games to play, and I highly recommend that you check them out. They've got They're a great way to learn about Nintendo's past and experience how the Mario series first came about. Plus, thanks to the Lost Levels, I finally know how people on the Titanic felt. Now, a little while ago I mentioned that Super Mario Bros. Was so good that it got 2 sequels. Well, Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels caused wars and devastation over in Japan. America decided they didn't actually care about the reputation, so the game was a Japan exclusive for 7 years. Instead, we got a Mario reskin of a Japanese game called Doki Doki Panic, and as our true Super Mario Bros. Sequel.
Oh god!
Hey, that was an interesting experience, so I guess I'll know what I'll be covering next. These games will set the groundwork for all later installments, and define how everything works. Even though some ideas are a little strange, however, like the idea that out of all the jobs in the world, they chose Mario to be a plumber. But hey, it could be worse. They could have had him be a trash truck driver, a McDonald's employee, or even figure him grocery worker. Oh wait, they already did that.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm still kind of experimenting, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to comment down below. I also have a Let's Play on both Super Mario Bros. 1 and Lost Levels, and although the first one kind of old, I had a lot of fun with the Lost Levels series, so you should check them out. Anyway, bye.
I'm not sure who wanted to see Dr. Wizard and Mountain Dew hat, but there we go. The guy, this is become a meme someday. Okay, well, I'm probably gonna die of this, but let's do it anyway. I'm like genuinely concerned about my health right now. I really shouldn't be doing this, but let's go. Oh my god. Oh, so many memes are gonna come out of this. What am I doing with my life? Here's Paul. Yeah. Hello everyone, I'm Bucktooth Chicken. Welcome back to another Let's Play. We're playing Purple today.